I was a little girl, I always have been Mama's little helper. I'd do everything I possibly could with her, even if it meant doing outside chores or helping with the livestock in the below freezing weather. Now my sister, on the other hand, was Daddy's little girl. She took the role of being the wild one, the one who likes to kill things and impress the boys by her trophy buck she manages to shoot each year, unlike me. Of course, I would be the late bloomer and get into hunting a little bit later. I still have managed to keep up with my older sister. Deer hunting has been a tradition for many, including my family, and it is also a wildlife management tool that we use to keep our populations in check. But Mother Nature can also impact wildlife populations. But what is this force of nature that has caused more deer deaths than hunting? It's the epizootic hemorrhagic disease, or also known as EHD. EHD is a disease that has dramatically affected the white-tailed deer population in Nebraska during the past years. According to the Lincoln Journal-Star, the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission has reported the most severe outbreak of EHD since the 1970s. There have been over 6,000 deaths, and this has heightened the concern of many landowners and hunters. Today, we will be zeroing in on what EHD is, citing the causes of EHD, and finally targeting the ways to diagnose the epizootic hemorrhagic disease. Knowledge of what EHD is, the cause of EHD, and the different ways to diagnose EHD will help the public cause awareness. First, let's zero in on what EHD is. The epizootic hemorrhagic disease is a virus that has been known to man since the 1970s. But it was subsequently identified in 1955 when several hundred white-tailed deer were succumbed in various parts of North America. This disease has also been known to affect mule deer, pronghorns, and in a few rare cases, cattle. As stated by beforeitsnews.com, mass animal death, in the past year there have been 10 confirmed cases of EHD in Nebraska alone. In cattle, this disease has similar symptoms to foot and mouth disease, including symptoms of high fever, swollen eyes, ulcers by the mouth, lameness, and also labored breathing. Deaths in cattle are uncommon, and most recover in a few weeks. Many of you may have this question: can humans get the disease? As stated by Buckmaster.com, to date, humans are not at risk of receiving EHD, even after consuming venison. However, most state agencies recommend not eating infected deer due to various bacterial infections secondary to this disease. Now that we know what EHD is, let's sight in on some of the causes of the epizootic hemorrhagic disease. According to dnrec.delaware.gov, EHD is transmitted by biting flies that are commonly known as biting midges, but are also known as no-see-ums, punkies, or sand gnats. Dr. David E. Stolnick, a current researcher with the Soil and Water Conservation District, stated, hemorrhagic disease virus cannot survive outside the host animal or biting fly vector and occurs from mid-August through October. According to the Lincoln Journal-Star, the #1 reason mortality rates in white-tailed deer have been dramatically high these past few years is the drought. The parch condition in America's heartland has accelerated this year's spread of EHD by concentrating deer near watering sources. The watering sources for white-tailed deer play a key role in the mortality rates from this disease because the standing water leaves a mudline which provides a habitat for the midge. As the water sources from the drought dry up entirely, more deer congregate around the remaining drinking spots, which cause many whitetails to be affected in the same area. However, the first freeze usually wipes out the biting midges and abruptly ends the outbreak of this virus. Now let's scope the ways to diagnose epizootic hemorrhagic disease. According to wildlifemanagementinstitute.org, epizootic hemorrhagic disease has multiple signs and symptoms. The following physical signs are loss of appetite, weakness, feverish, and may have a swollen head, neck, tongue, or eyelids. Because the deer have a high fever during the first few days of this disease, dead or dying deer are most likely found lying on the cool, moist soil. In addition, this virus has also internal characteristics including hemorrhages of all sizes, including the spleen, heart, liver, kidney, lungs, and intestinal tract. Due to the lack of oxygen associated with the hemorrhagic disease, the oral mucosa or oral cavity will also appear blue in color, and interrupted hoof growth is also another common result of this disease. After illness occurs, the signs change as the disease progresses, and deer may die within 1 to 3 days. But most often, deer survive longer and may become lame, lose their appetite, and reduce their activity. According to GrowingDeer.tv, risk will be minimized in deer herds that do not exceed the carrying capacity of their habitat. The best and only practical means of regulating deer population is through properly managed sport hunting, including the harvest of antlerless deer as necessary. Whether you are a deer hunter or not, management strategies can help reduce the impact of the EHD virus. Today, we have zeroed in on what EHD is, cited the causes of EHD, and targeted ways to diagnose episodic hemorrhagic disease. With severe drought predicted again, the prospect of a successful hunting season does not look promising. If you are a deer hunter or not, management strategies can help reduce the impact of this virus. So if you are a hunter and did not get that trophy buck like my sis, you have a good excuse.